So, that is that.
So yeah, we've sort of figured out most of the stuff. Now,
on to what we're talking about, I guess.
which was moving the radio date to 28th.
Or the podcast date to the 28th. So it won't be today, it'll be next week today. So in 7 days' time, we'll be doing the podcast.
But don't you guys worry, because most of us are actually going to be there for the podcast, so it's going to be a very big podcast. I hope you guys are there. This will be a very good one.
It's actually going to be quite amazing. Like, there will be 4 of us. There will be myself, you, Darkness, and... Oh, I can't remember his name.
Ben.
Our good mate Ben. I honestly can't remember his gaming name, but he'll be there with us.
And this will be, in fact, the biggest group we'll have, basically chatting live on a stream. So be there, be ready.
Yeah, we'll be live everywhere. We'll be live on YouTube. It won't be video, it'll just be audio. We'll be live on YouTube, we'll be live on Mixlr, and we'll be live on this radio. So if you are listening right now, go and tune into, it's a long URL, very long, radio.gamingforaustralia.com.au. So
yeah,
you can go and check that out. And once we finish here, it'll just be music, and music we'll be playing almost 24/7 after that.
Yeah.
And then we'll be live again. So, pretty interesting. But while we're here, I suppose we can just have a chat about something.
Alright, so what do you want to chat about? Shall we chat about Cards Against Humanity, and if we will be playing it, which is most likely a yes, because I bought it for $50 and I plan to play it.
Well, we'll be planning to record it, like do videos on it for a very, very long time. Like, I could never see a point where we're not playing it.
Yes,
I
could see where we start to get bored and I just end up buying expansion packs, which there are a lot of.
Yeah, there is actually.
But besides that, it's basically a limitless game, unless you basically played it like Charlie has and just play it every other day.
Oh, yeah.
So it's one of those games where, you know, it's like a weekly thing, or I don't know.
But you should tune into the channel very soon, because very soon I'll be uploading the Queensland trip that I went on, and there's about 4 episodes out of that. I must have lost the footage out of the other couple of days, or I just didn't record or something.
Also, be prepared, because there is a Stardew Valley recording series that I have begun, and hopefully this guy can actually start. Hopefully we can start editing that stuff so that.
I'll be editing it. Don't worry. I'll actually grab the footage off you today.
Yeah.
And then I'll go home and edit it all up, and then get it all uploaded sooner or later.
Yeah.
But following Stardew Valley, we'll be starting a new series. Complete My Story.
Which is basically like a story-driven game. Which I'm actually thinking about adding dice, because then there's like a different quality of chance.
Well, adding dice, what's that about?
Okay, so basically at the beginning of the game, there's like different types of beginnings. You've basically seen that, yeah?
Yeah.
So basically the idea is springing dice. So basically maybe a 1 and a 2 can be a terrible beginning, a 3 and a 4 can be like an average, and then a 5 and a 6 could be like something like straight out of another movie or a game or a book or whatever. So basically it's like, and like we'll have different characters depending on what the beginning is, and we'll rise for every single stat. We'll dice roll for every stat, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then it will be interesting. So it'll be like you have even if your character has a terrible stat and you have a chance and you roll a really good dice roll, maybe the action is really good. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it does sound interesting.
That just adds a little bit more complexity on actions, which are driven into the game. So, yeah. That's why I thought I might add in some dice. By the way, this game was originally my idea. I just thought it would be really interesting and actually play, because the idea of just basically letting your mind go wild and let the roll of the dice basically give you the be hopefully on your luck might be advantageous, I guess.
What does that mean?
So basically the idea is basically the idea for the game is it starts as a beginning, and there's 3 different types of beginning, which I'm going to end up adding more different types of beginnings, because first of all, the 3 is not enough to really get into the whole multitude of stories. But the idea is each genre of like book or movie are added to basically the player pool, and the player pool is basically you have to pick out a player, a type of genre or maybe subgenre, and what you have to basically do is drag your story to your side.
Oh yeah. I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah. So basically the whole idea is it's sort of like a depending on how many players, we'll just leave it at 4, because I think 4 is the cap, and maybe like 2 is like the bare minimum, because you can't really play a game with just one person.
Yes, definitely.
But the idea is basically to pull the story in your direction, and yeah. So
that sounds really interesting. I can't wait to get in and play it.
Yeah.
Which we might play it after the podcast.
Yeah.
That seems like a reasonable time to sit down and record it.
Yeah. So be prepared for watching that recording, and I don't know, maybe looking into how you could, and maybe even discuss how you could have actually played it if you. And at the end of the game, when we figure out, when we feel like it's basically done, so we could do a short one or we could do a longer one.
Yeah.
But when we finally figured out the time that we finished, we'll figure out who won, and depending on what genre they got. So I'm thinking about maybe adding some like different types of things that you have to like get depending on your thing. So maybe like maybe for example, the comedy genre could be like basically get someone into a maybe slip on a banana or something, just to make a little wisecracker laughter.
Yeah.
Maybe even have some parts of the story that actually talk about different like stories. Or you could, or it could be also like you have to get a meme in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, for example, the action one, you have to have maybe suspense. So basically, like everything is on the shoulders of these people, or there's like a really good fight scene or something. It's sort of like that.
Yeah. That would actually be quite interesting. Like, with complete my story kind of thing, I could just imagine right now that someone's going along one story and then next minute that just completely changes.
They could immediately switch out the thing. Like, for example, maybe it switches like halfway through a sword sling, and maybe the sword breaks into a million pieces before it hits the enemy, eventually hitting the guy in the nuts.
Oh, that's gonna be good.
Which could be like a sort of a comedy or a,
Yeah.
And once something's destroyed in the game, then you have to either make another thing that's sort of like it, or it's just gone forever. So there's no reverse time magic in the game. So there's no hacking technically. So yeah.
That's a good point. But how would you hack, right, in a card game?
Actually, it's a story-driven game. So basically, it's like basically turning a character into basically a mortal being, and then just having him become like the embodiment of comedy or the embodiment of something, or time travel and basically altering the time frame.
Time travel. Actually, how cool would time travel be if it actually existed?
Actually, I think it's really it wouldn't be fun. In fact, most races at that time would probably classify you as witch or, you know, some.
Yeah.
You probably get burnt. Quite literally.
Yeah, I actually kind of see your point there.
So yeah, maybe a time period where either human is no more or human hasn't been yet might actually be a more interesting thing, because then it's like you can see what it was like before everything happened.
Yeah.
And personally, when people keep saying, oh, if you step on an ant in the past, you'll change the future, like, dramatically, I believe that is ridiculous, straight off. Because if that was the case, if we killed maybe a brontosaurus, that brontosaurus might have fed a T-Rex, but that T-Rex would have probably got hit by the meteorite anyway.
Yeah.
So there was no difference. But, however, there would have been more ants. So if people like start battling over, you know, how to save many lives, then they'll be like, maybe, I don't know, killing Hitler before Hitler even became Hitler. And that brings another question. If you change the past, what would happen in the future if you time travel? So technically, I believe it would cancel itself out, because Hitler would become Hitler, but if Hitler's not Hitler, then there would have maybe been another guy who became Hitler. So
yeah, you got a point there. Like, I've watched a show lately, or a movie lately, where in the future they send people back into the past, and they get killed in the past. Or the person who gets sent back from the future to the past, if they die during their travel back into the past, then by the time that they get sent back, they were already dead. And it's just one big giant loop.
So basically, it's just basically becoming nothing.
Say me right now gets sent back to yesterday, right? And I die yesterday. Me die yesterday. Myself from yesterday would die tomorrow. It's weird.
Actually, it would mean that you would have died that day, but you would have made an unlimited of you, basically dying over and over again. Basically ending your lineage, and basically ending up in the reality of that you are in fact dying millions of times. But you
also... Oh, yes, I die millions of times, but you got to also think, right? If I go back to yesterday and I die yesterday... Yesterday's me, that's tomorrow's today, would travel back again and die. That means there's all these other me's all lined up to die, but even if they all die, there's still a lot of me's lined up. So I'm invincible. Because I keep going back.
Yeah, but you're invincible, yet you have no ability to change anything, move forward.
Yeah.
Which... This is the reason why I think time travel is terrible, but being able to observe time through maybe, I don't know, a microscopic like camera and maybe a mic flying around maybe in the past might actually be beneficial, because then we could learn about history and how history is basically flawed to the nuts, because the fact is history is always governed by the victors, and the victors will always tell that the enemy were barbarians, lower beings with no idea, or sacrifice, do sacrifices, that sort of stuff, because they wanted to distill a very bad viewpoint and to see the new generation as a great thing. Yes, Mayans may have sacrificed people to a god, but they've been doing that for millions of years. But you guys, you basically came over and stole their gold, which they didn't see as precious because there was so much gold.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Actually, about the new Uncharted 4, like... Oh, I don't want to spoil it, but the plot in the beginning is just finding treasure. And it's like, back in the past when pirates ruled and all that other crap, if they had so much treasure, then why is the world so poor?
You see, the thing is, the economy has not, the amount of goods have not changed throughout the years. It's just the prices of everything has gone up. It's basically an old idea that money equals power, and if you got more money,
You got more power.
So, yeah, the governments basically rise up the prices, even though they don't need to, because they believe that they need to rise prices so that they can get more money.
But if money is power, the government makes the money. That means they have unlimited power.
But the thing is, with power, you have to distribute it evenly. So, grouping... the thing is, if you got too much power, and people who don't have enough power don't get enough, then it becomes a war, or a civil war. So basically the government will probably get upheld or something. Basically, the idea is basically the biggest amount of money that is given, that the overall grouping is, for example, Australia, has all this money, but they have to distribute it evenly with everything so that they can make people happy, or at least make everything like able to be, you know.
Yeah.
Instead of making them angry enough to go and fight for another government, which they did actually in Australia at the beginning.
I just thought of a brilliant name for why we're so live, right? This is kind of a podcast, but it's not a podcast. So the title of this podcast is called Not a Podcast.
Huh. Okay.
It actually sounds pretty ingenious. But for now, we will come up with another topic to talk about, and we will see you after the break.
Hope you enjoyed the music, and later. Hello.
Welcome back.
We've had some good conversations while we were having our little break.
Just trying to think of another topic. We might have another topic, but we're not too sure if we'll go deep into it.
Okay.
Kind of thing. So, we might actually talk about it, actually.
Yeah, because it was really good.
We did really get into it very much, so if you want to continue...
Okay, so basically I was bringing up the idea of... okay, I'm going to give it to you bluntly. I was talking about... basically the idea of God made the universe in... basically made the Earth in a day, and how it all ties in, basically, into evolution. And I know people will say, but it never talks about evolution. It's all about some major guy basically creating things out of nothing. But the thing is, I don't believe that it was really all up to that. It was actually all up to evolution and what actually was there to begin with. So basically I was talking about how a day in the universal term was like millions of years or something. So basically, for anyone who hasn't actually done very good planetary things, planetary examinations, or looked into research on the universe, a day is basically the full rotation of the universe back to where it was, for its placement. So yeah, basically, so a day's like billions of years. So basically, what is the Earth? The Earth basically cools down, basically becomes this water plane, but also from our sister planet Venus, some rock with a material that makes microbes. Microbes start to live out their life on Earth and basically adapt to the water for some weird reason. So basically, the microbes turn into basically fish by sticking themselves together. They become crustaceans, and fish. The fish starts to evolve into what we call the lungfish, which is its actual proper name, which actually can climb out of the water and breathe oxygen.
Which is kind of scary, you know, a fish just climbing out of the water and start breathing oxygen.
So, yeah, it was a major leap in the evolution. Then that evolved into reptiles. Reptiles evolved into birds, I believe. Birds then evolved into dinosaurs and, I think, prime mammals. However, maybe some people will start saying that no, that's not the fact. I don't care. I don't really care. I'm trying to show you a bigger picture. Anyway, so basically the asteroids hit that destroys all the biggest life on Earth, which were, you guess it, dinosaurs. Dinosaurs basically go extinct, but the smaller things become the more dominant predators. They start evolving. The mammals start evolving into from omnivores to maybe carnivores or what was that?
I can't think of the other one.
Who cares? The veggie eaters.
Vegetarians.
The vegetarians.
Herbivores?
The herbivores.
There we go.
Anyway, so they've figured out their life. They start adapting, and all of a sudden, we got monkeys. Monkeys turn into apes. Please don't bring up the question of how they do this. Apes become humanoid, more like humanoid. The humanoid becomes more and more and more human until we get to Homo sapien, which is us. And then you get the general idea. Basically, after that, we start building tools, we start building civilization, and we start building an all-powerful being, which is actually the way that a single person can really control a populace. So, yeah.
You know the story of Adam and Eve?
Yes.
Right? There was a show on TV last night that it was, I don't know, but it was on the SBS channel, and it's about like finding my Adam and Eve or something. I think it was called. I can't remember what it was called, but that's what I think it was. And it was just this one female and two males stranded on an island, and they get to know each other to turn into a relationship kind of thing. So it was like a little dating show.
Oh, so what they were doing was being blasphemous. By the way, I am a Christian, so I really do like actually. I'm a Christian to a degree. I like its ideals, but the stories themselves, not so much.
I'm kind of like that as well, but with some of the stories, I'm finding them hard to believe.
They're a little bit too far-fetched to be true.
Yeah, and then just others, it's just like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense.
That could make sense in the text of its time. So basically, for example, Samson killing 1,000 men with just a mule jaw. Yeah, right. It'd probably break within the 5th kill.
Yeah, definitely. So, we've been rambling for almost 40 minutes.
But that's the whole idea of having these talkback radios. We talk, we have a good conversation within it, we have a bit of music. So, yeah.
I hope you actually do enjoy like the way we've set up a radio now. Like, the way we've set it up, I want to keep it like this.
Yeah, have a good...
But there's just one thing wrong with it, is the services. Like Mixlr, that we're actually broadcasting live on for audio. We're also live on radio.gamingforaustralia.com.au, and we use a bunch of other applications to join them all together.
But the thing is, Mixlr only give us an hour.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The services, it's like Mixlr only allows us to broadcast for 1 hour, like each day. So tomorrow we can do another hour, I think. But I could be wrong, but I think it's just an hour, and then we could go live for another hour after this. I'm not too sure, but it says during...
We'll see if we can try.
During one like, I think it's between each title is 1 hour. Like, we have to change the title every time, kind of thing. But podcasts usually don't go for... Oh, sorry, this is not a podcast.
This is a radio channel, thank you very much.
This is just a little ramble, but it's just kind of...
it's one of those ones where we really start picking into the mind of basically studies, maybe some scientific stuff, and we just really explore into that stuff. Some really deep topics, but we try to make them as noob friendly as we can.
Noob friendly.
Basically, whoever can understand scientific language, we just do. That's why I said Homo sapien, because then people would be studying what Homo sapien is, which is you, human.
Hello, distant people in our universe.
Yes.
These better not be aliens.
Oh, please. We'll eventually become aliens.
Oh, I have no idea where that come from.
We'll evolve.
It just kind of popped into my head. It's like aliens.
We'll
the real question is, are they real? Are they still among us?
Well, hell yeah. Do you really think... And, okay, this is the fact. The universe is infinite, so basically it's still growing. It's still growing. How is there no chance that another civilized race exists?
Yeah.
Maybe not in the inside of the cosmos, that is like death and suns and stuff, but universes on the outside of the bridge, there might be life forms, because think about it. If you got a universe that's sort of like us, maybe with a different atmosphere or something, there might be growing... They might be years, thousands of years ahead, or thousands of years in the past.
Yeah.
So really, when they think about intelligent life, they should really be thinking about life forms that can do audio. Because, yeah.
Silence.
What's that?
I don't know. So back to the services that we're actually talking about. So we're using Mixler. We're also using TeamSpeak with a music bot, which controls all their music in our TeamSpeak channel, which is just ts3.gameinfrastructure.com.au. And someone just joined our channel. Now this channel is an open channel, but you need talk power to talk. That's why it's live radio. And he's just commenting... he wants to talk, but he seems to be left the server, so apologies.
It might have ran out, but hey, at least he used some freaking foul language before he did it.
Yeah, so even if we did let him talk...
The question is, would we?
Yeah, like, if you're going to use that kind of language, especially on live radio...
Please use polite language when talking to other people. It's terrible. It's rude. Straight up rude.
So...
Yeah.
20 minutes left in this segment. What are we going to do for 20 minutes? What are we going to talk about for 20 minutes?
Well... The thing is... you brought up a subject that I started talking about a little bit, which was basically... what is God? Basically...
Yeah.
The idea that God... and basically I came up with the idea that if God made him in our own image, let's remove all that freaking scientific mumbo-jumbo of evolution. If God made us in his image, then we would be able to create things out of nothing.
You got a point there.
So, yeah, that's why I'm really think it's more on the evolutionary state and not just some big mystic guy standing over and granting us life from basically dirt.
And saying there shall be light and there's the sun.
Because the fact is, with science we can actually talk about a whole bunch of stuff, but there's a few things that we can't talk about, like for example the soul. Many people don't really know what the soul is.
I don't even know what it is.
Some people believe it's just electric pulses in your mind, basically figuring out what you do. From memory, figuring out what you're going to do after this. But what I believe is, it's sort of like a... I feel like the body is like a beaker, and the soul is like a substance that's put into it. And now don't bring up the question of how that works, but the fact is, the soul sort of acts like it's a substance, and once the breaker breaks to a certain degree, or the top is removed, aka death, basically the soul just leaves. It's removed.
What some people say is when your soul leaves your body, it is your last breath outside your body.
Yeah.
When you die or pass away. Like, it's that final breath is your soul leaving to go to heaven or to go to hell,
or maybe even existing on the same planes of existence.
Yeah. Or even at a higher plane of existence. So, for example...
That's why I believe in a theory that there is actually 7 different universes. And depending on where you are, depends on your actions. So basically the higher ones are like towards God, and then the final ones are God itself. But it's more on the worshipping and, the general... So basically the idea of Satan and God going to war, okay? Now are you starting to understand?
Yeah.
So basically the idea is, instead of it just being 3 spots, so basically the battlefield, which is us, and the 2 is basically fighting each other, then we'll be seeing a lot of more phenomenon. However, if there were 7 universes, so maybe 2 to the side, each side, where the war was actually happening, and maybe some recruitment was happening at one side, and maybe some other recruitment was happening at the other, depending on where you were going.
Or us in the middle is recruitments.
Yeah. We're either recruitments who basically are standard, or we're just a neutral soul. Basically, a soul that has to figure out what they're going to do, where they really want to go, and possibly the next universe we're probably going to go in the opposite direction.
Yeah. I remember someone saying, I'm not too sure who said it, I think you said it, but you must have said it a while ago, but I remember someone saying that the reason why we can't look at the sun is because that's where they live. Like, that is where heaven is. Like, heaven is so beautiful to the naked eye that when we look at it, we can't see.
Yeah. I said this specifically. Heaven is like the sun. It's so beautiful and so pristine that the human eye could not fathom it. So basically, could not observe it because it was so good, so peaceful, so quiet, so peaceful that it was just unfathomable for the human mind, because the human mind is existing in a plane where, shit happens. In there, nothing terrible happens unless there's like maybe a siege.
Yeah, I remember you saying something about that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really a form of perception. I believe in the 7 universe theory, which is basically every universe is tied to an element except for our universe. Our universe is very significant because it really relies on the spirit of the world.
Yeah.
And the other universes is like, one universe is fire, one universe is towards earth, air, water, darkness and light. Of course, darkness is Satan, light is God. However, this does bring a good question. What if, I'm sorry to say, if anyone who is, really into the Bible and stuff, but what if God was actually the bad guy? Think about it.
That raises a few eyebrows.
Okay, let me explain for you guys. So basically the idea of the actual point where we see Satan actually, before he becomes Satan, is he's a beautiful angel, controls all the other angels, tells them what to do, but has no power himself because God is unfallible technically, even though he gave us free will. What if Satan wasn't actually trying to get the thrones for himself, but so that he could give the angels free will?
It kind of makes sense.
You see, he probably saw, because every angel is different in its IQ. There's angels towards knowledge, angels towards, just watching things. But This angel was a combination of every other angel. Could see everything that was happening. Saw what was happening around him. He took a few moments and realised that the management wasn't doing the right thing for its people. If anything, if God was a boss, he would have probably been kicked out for not doing correct to the people working there. So yeah,
that is actually a really big topic to talk about, but it's a big topic to talk about. Then how did we just finish it in like 20 minutes?
That's why I simplify. That's why I simplify it. I simplify it so that you could understand it.
You know what would be really hilarious? A scientist versus a Christian. Both sides battling.
Oh my god! I feel like this is going to be the comment section. It's just going to be Scientology versus the Bible, and maybe some people with like the actual realization that I was actually talking about some really deep stuff that was actually sort of correct if you really think about it. You have to really think deeply about what I've been talking about. So that is why I believe maybe some angels might actually not be on God's side, but doesn't want to go against God, because if you remember, in the chapter, yes, he defeats Satan. But the thing is, he sends him to hell. He doesn't forgive him, not like he does to the humans that come from Earth, or portion of us.
I actually read something the other day. It says it doesn't matter how many sins you have conquered, God and Lord Jesus Christ will forgive you for any sin.
This is the thing. What about the angels? Does he?
What about them?
You see, if he forgives all, that means he should forgive everyone equally. That means he's treating Satan lower than humans. Because humans have a chance if they go against him. However, when an angel goes against him, they get sent straight to hell.
Yeah.
Which is actually Satan's idea, which is basically Satan has so many followers compared to God, because the fact is his domain isn't for punishment, it's not for destruction, it's not for any of that. It's for freedom. The ability to express yourself how you feel like it. Than being basically controlled by some being over the top of us. Basically, we can't even observe him. He apparently just sits on his throne and waits for us to believe in him. Even though he doesn't give us any... See, a terrible person could have really good luck, but good person is always having the hardest times.
You get that a lot.
So, yeah. It really brings into the question, why would you really be going for God if God really doesn't care? The fact is, he's got a complex where it's, you will believe in me, you will be mine, or you will go straight to hell. Basically, it's repent before death.
Yeah, it's also really hard to get your head around as well. It's like sitting down and just, like, taking it all in, just getting told this, like, lucky this is actually live, and when we're finished, which will be in around about 9 minutes, you can just go back and listen, and so can we, so we can get our head around it. But just us talking now, you would have to explain it over and over again to try and get someone to listen. It's
really one of those ones where you have to really be, like, so open-minded that all the words can combine together. See, all these different subjects that we've been bringing up all linked together, except for the game that we're going to be playing.
Yeah, right at the start.
Right at the start.
See, We're a gaming channel. We're meant to be talking about games and everything. Why are we talking about evolution, time travel, reality, God, Satan, all that other crap?
This is the thing. We might be a gaming channel at heart, but the thing is, with the Talkback Radio, it's more interesting to talk about other things than games, because, yes, there's a new game coming out. So, what's interesting about it?
There's other people getting on top of it rather than us, but there's no harm in trying, and that's all we do.
Yes.
We try.
We might occasionally talk about a game, but we'll eventually go into a different conversation, maybe governmental, maybe something else. You know what? Who really cares, really? Because if we're doing this, we're trying to give you some education value while you're listening. And that is important.
Yeah.
That's better than listening about Fallout's new update. Fallout 4's new updates.
Or new games that are coming out, like Uncharted 4 come out, and the new Hitman came out, and apparently Battlefield 1 is now in option to pre-order and all that. Which we can go deeper in next week's. But, unfortunately, we're hitting our deadline.
We're hitting as close as our outline can let us. So, anyway, thank you guys for listening. This has been Game for Australia Radio. This has been the Fez.
I've been UnDead.
And I hope you enjoy the music till the end.
Yeah, which will be... where is the mouse? I can't even find it. Hello, mouse. Oh, there's the mouse. Okay, so we're just going to play a little bit of music. Mixlar's just going to cut out and all that, but if you're listening live over on our website, our radio website, then music will just keep playing, so no need to worry about that. Won't ponder you about anything else, but...
Anyway, enjoy the
rest of your morning, afternoon, wherever you are.
Night.
And we shall catch you in the next one.
In the next radio.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.